We are everywhere the same, listening to the scrape and turn of hateful keys and the heavy tread of marching soldiers. The words of Odessa-born poet Anna Akhmatova. She suffered under Stalin, as did her city. He was the first Russian leader to destroy this historic cathedral in his war on religion in the 1930s. This week, President Putin became the second.
Боже мой, ребята!
What puzzles many is why Putin, after all, prides himself on being a devout Orthodox Christian. This whole war is a bloody contest of rival claims on history, on land, on cities like Odessa, largely Russian-speaking but proudly Ukrainian. And it turns out on the Transfiguration Cathedral itself, lovingly rebuilt after independence in 1991, consecrated by Kirill, the Moscow Patriarch, who's now rabidly pro-war, but run by priests who are Ukrainian patriots. Now cleaning up once sacred space amongst crooked columns and a crumbling ceiling. Stacking damaged icons in leaning piles, once admired by churchgoers, now caressed by dust. For days, dozens of Russian missiles and drone attacks have pummeled Odessa. Volodymyr can't budge the rubble to search for his belongings. His home has imploded.
I am completely broken, just like my apartment. Completely broken.
It is the first time since the war began that the city's historic center was hit. The mayor, once called a Russian sympathizer, was anything but.
If you only knew how much Odessa hates you, not only hates but despises, you will not break us, but only anger us even more.
The attacks began immediately after Moscow pulled out of the deal that allows Ukrainian grain to be exported from its Black Sea ports. Ukrainian authorities described the following onslaught as hellish, designed to cripple Odessa's ability to ship wheat bound for Africa and beyond.
Obviously, all this is a global threat. The destruction of cities, the destruction of culture, the destruction of ports that are fundamental to the world's food security. There has never been a terrorist capable of overcoming the world, and these Kremlin madmen will not succeed either.
Perhaps, though, this was all begun not with mad men, but with a woman. President Putin is fond of borrowing from the past to justify the present. Catherine the Great is one of his favorites, the original Empress of Russia, who tried to modernize the country but also expanded it by conquering land and subjugating people. No wonder a statue of her was toppled here last December. Many Ukrainians fled here for safety. After all, why would Russia bombard a city so woven into its own spiritual, historical and cultural identity? Perhaps because, like the cathedral, or indeed the country, Putin is thinking to himself, if I can't have it, no one can. Well, I'm joined now from Odessa by the MP for the city, Oleksiy Goncharenko. Oleksiy Goncharenko, it's wonderful to speak to you again, and I'm very sorry that we had to keep you waiting. Thanks for your patience. I am so shocked, as someone who's been to Odessa many times, by these pictures of destruction. And I just wondered whether you could answer the question that we posed in that piece. Why do you think Vladimir Putin wants to destroy a city that so many Russians are so fond of?
Because this city is crucial for world food security. And the aim of Putin is to disrupt the world security, and food security is one of the keystones. From the very beginning, Putin tried to block the Black Sea in order to stop Ukrainian agricultural export. And he continues to have this goal. You need to understand that attack on Odessa is not just attack on 1 million of Odessa people, not attack on 40 million of Ukrainian people. It's attack on 400 million people, according to estimations of United Nations, who are dependent from the calories from Ukrainian crops. That is why Putin is attacking Odessa, because he wants as much chaos in the world as possible. He wants to see food prices peaking in the world, causing inflation and political problems in rich developed countries, but causing starvation and new waves of migrants and refugees from poor countries.
Right. I was going to get onto food politics in a minute, but just on the cathedral that was destroyed, why would he, who prides himself on being a devout Orthodox Christian, want to destroy that cathedral?
First of all, I should be frank with you. I'm not sure that Russians deliberately aimed the cathedral, because like their so-called highly precise missiles, we saw it many times in Ukraine, that they can hit everything. So was he deliberately targeting the cathedral? We just don't know. But in any way, what he did is an awful crime. Out the center of Odessa, including this cathedral, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and he's destroying the culture and the world heritage, and that is definitely a war crime. And also that is so crazy because this is really a big part of Russian history and identity of Russian Empire, because Odessa was the fourth biggest city of Russian Empire after St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Warsaw in 19th century. So what he is doing is partly he's destroying their own history. But I think he doesn't care about this at all,
right,
because he just wants as much destruction as possible.
Of course, the Kremlin has denied that it tried to destroy the cathedral, that had nothing to do with that. I just wonder whether it's possible, whether you think that he's destroying or trying to destroy parts of Odessa and indeed also the port of Odessa, because, as I said in my piece, if he can't have it, no one can have it. It's a sort of scorched earth policy.
It can be like this. But I think that his aim, as I told you, first of all, it's about grain corridor and food security and geopolitics. Secondly, definitely he tries to show that he still can disrupt and like create such huge problems. He's about destruction. You need to understand this. I mean, Putin controls for 20 years the biggest country in the world, and he could invest these years and enormous resources which Russia has to development of this territory. But instead, all of this, he just stole part of this money for his own palaces, yachts, and everything else. But also he invested it into destruction, into these missiles, into killing, into this evil. That's how Russian Empire lives. It's not about the development of the territories. It's the difference of Russian Empire from any other empires in the human history. Other empires maybe were developing territories. Russian Empire is just destroying.